Demons are not what you think. Please forget everything you think you know about demons, everything you've been told. I am going to be sharing with you exactly what these beings are, how they came into being, and what their purpose is, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself and even destroy them. So I have personal experience when it comes to understanding these entities because the first time that I did an exorcism, I was 15 years old. And I did exorcisms for years. I stopped doing it, and that's another reason why I stopped doing it. But I haven't stopped learning how to destroy these entities and to give people the power to protect themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it, what exactly these beings are. And I'm going to be sharing with you not only things that I've learned over my lifespan and my experience, but also what I was recently shown in an interdimensional astral travel meditation where very powerful beings of light showed me what demons really were, how they came into being, and what their purpose is. But again, the most important thing is how you can avoid them, protect yourself from them, and if necessary, completely destroy them. Okay, so the truth about demons, the first is they are not fallen angels. Right? So that I really want to go off on that, but that's a whole other video. But just without getting into it, they aren't that. If that were true, if demons were fallen angels, that would mean that the universe would collapse in on itself. The universe wouldn't be able to sustain a reality where that happened. So, believe me or don't believe me, take my word for it if you want. Demons are not fallen angels. Demons do not have souls. So this is important to know. They don't have souls. People talk about NPCs. And there aren't any human NPCs. Again, if that were to happen, the universe would collapse in on itself. No, all humans have souls, no matter how down the scale they've gone, no matter how evil they've become, no matter how lost their soul is, how separated they are from their soul. All humans have a soul. Demons do not. Demons cannot harm you without your permission. If you don't understand this, then you are doomed to live the life of a victim. So, again, I have experience in this, and I learned it very early on. And I learned very quickly that what happens is that people who would come to me, or people that I ran into who were like actually demon possessed, what I found out is that even if you cast the demons out of them, they will still continue in behavior and thought processes that attract them right back. And so, there's even though I'm not a born-again Christian anymore, I don't follow that, but there was one scripture in the New Testament that is fairly accurate, and it's something that Jesus supposedly said, where he said, when a man is cleaned of a spirit, the spirit wanders the wilderness for 7 days. It finds other spirits stronger than himself, comes back, and the last state of the man is worse than the first. And what isn't said in that is that the person who ends up getting repossessed is actually the one responsible. Because the truth is, once you expel a demon from somebody, they have the ability right then and there to completely, totally protect themselves. Unfortunately, you can't have a demon attack you in the first place without you giving them permission. And that means that you seek it out on an unconscious level. And you say, how is that possible? You might even think you're being attacked by demons. I would never do that. I'm a horrible victim. And there is where the problem lies. Because people who have this issue are people who have deep-seated victim mentality in their deep unconscious mind, and they are unwilling to let go of it. Because if you let go of your victim mentality, you're going to have to take responsibility, and you're going to have to face even more painful feelings. So I've said this before, but the short story is, when somebody has been deeply wounded, every single person that I cast demons out of that were actually possessed, by the way, most people who think they're possessed aren't, but those that actually are, every single one that I cast demons out of, they had been either physically, emotionally, psychologically, and or sexually abused. And so that creates tremendous pain psychologically, deep within the unconscious mind. And the truth is that those feelings are far, far more painful than the pain that comes from a demon attacking you. So again, it has to be a give and take. You have to open the door, and you have to actually ask for it to happen. You don't consciously do that. You may not even know you're doing it, but it happens on an unconscious level. So, demons cannot harm you without your permission. Demons can be destroyed. So this is good news. They can actually be completely, totally destroyed. And there are methods to do that. You can do more than just drive them away. You can do more than protect yourself. You can actually go and destroy them, wipe them out. I know those practices. If you want to learn and you're serious, I can teach you. Demons can be destroyed. They are not eternal. So unlike souls, see, again, this is why angels cannot be demons, because angels are eternal beings. And so angels cannot be demons. Demons are not eternal. And I could go into a bunch of reasons why that is, but just trust me on that. They are not eternal beings. And if you don't destroy them, when the universe moves and shifts around, they will be destroyed and their energy will be redistributed in other ways. Demons are two-dimensional beings. This is very important. Two-dimensional. I'm not going to get into the actual physics of it, and I mean it on a physical level, on physics. They are from a two-dimensional realm. They are not even third-dimensional beings, but they can they can infect the third dimension. And of course, humans are the doorways through which they come into this third dimension. But they're also second-dimensional in the sense that they don't have the ability to do what humans have, which is humans can be dualistic. They can focus on good or bad, and then there's a gray zone. And this is where, in that gray zone, where we actually learn how to become more spiritually ascended, to shift up to a higher frequency. There's more possibilities, there's more nuance. You can be angry at somebody without judging them. Now, for instance, people who are two-dimensional, which includes little children, oftentimes, but narcissistic people see everything as black and white. And so they either love you or they hate you. And if they hate you, they demonize you and turn you into a horrible, evil person in their mind that deserves to be. Why do you think people who serial killers turn out to be people who have very serious narcissistic personality disorders? Because people with that disorder only see things dualistically. So demons are dualistic. They're two-dimensional beings. That's why, by the way, you cannot judge another person without being in a two-dimensional mindset. That's why forgiveness is so important, because forgiveness is that third dimension where you can have your pain, you can have your anger, you can know that somebody harmed you in a way that they shouldn't have, but you can also have compassion for them and truly love them. That's the third dimension. That's where we're supposed to get at in the third dimension. Now, demons did not come from the fourth dimension. I know you've heard this said. I know this is something that David Icke says a lot. I could go off on him. Short answer is you can pretty much write off everything this guy says. Believe me or don't believe me, I actually have experience in these things, and I can talk about it from experience. I'm not giving you opinions based on limited observation. I have personal experience with this, and I can tell you that demons do not come from the fourth dimension. That is absolutely impossible. Let me explain that to you. You just saw the two-dimensional is a lower frequency. There's only black and white. Two dimensions physically means there's no up and down. There's just forward, backward, left, and right. Two dimensions, this way and this way. So these beings come from that, which is why they are evil, which is why they are toxic, which is why they are destructive, which is why they devalue humans. They criticize you, they attack you, they try to destroy you, they try to consume you. That is a two-dimensional mindset. That is a frequency. Third dimension is a frequency above the second dimension. There's two-dimensional beings are able to seep up in here if we help them, but they can't go to the fourth dimension because that dimension the frequency is so much higher than this one. And the higher the frequency, the more love you have. The more love, the more compassion, the more kindness, the more empathy. Those are higher frequency emotions. So the idea that you can be here in the third dimension and some being can come from a higher dimension and have these negative frequency thoughts like wanting to feed off of you, wanting to harm you, wanting to enslave you, that cannot exist in the fourth dimension. So please get rid of that. It happens in the second dimension and it can leak up into the third, but it can't come down from, it doesn't make any sense. If you're in the third dimension, you can't be of a higher frequency spiritually than a fourth dimensional being. It's not possible. So get rid of that nonsense. Anybody who talks like that is either simply repeating what they heard and or doesn't have any idea what they're talking about. Okay, so those are some truths about demons. There are two types of demons at the very least. There are external and internal. So there are demons that appear outside of us, outside of you. They have their own life outside of your physical body and your mind. And then there are demons that only exist internally within you. Now, the interesting thing is an internal demon can become an external demon. It's sort of like if you got a virus. You can have a virus within you in your body, it's just within you, it's nowhere else. But if your immune system doesn't get rid of it, you can spread that virus to others. Demons can be like that. Demons can start from within you, and then they can actually find their way out of you and have their own life. This has a lot to do with ghosts. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. We'll do that in another video, but ghosts are very similar to that. All right, so the external demons include the pre-existing guardians. All right, so here's what I've been shown. So this is my latest understanding from the universe about what demons are. So what I was shown was as this third dimension that we've created. By the way, you created this third dimension. Get rid of the idea of being a victim. Just listen, being a victim, you're asking for demonic attacks, if you want to know. So if you want to feel self-righteous about being a victim, if you want to be self-righteous about believing that there are false beings of light out there trying to trap you in reincarnation, if you want to believe that you shouldn't go into the light because beings of light are trying to trick you, if you want to believe that higher dimensional beings in the fourth dimension are looking over you and lying to you, if you believe that the universe will allow you to be lied to the extent that some beings that aren't you can put you in their own little place and feed off of you. If you want to keep believing that, you go right ahead, and I'm telling you, you are opening the door for demonic attack. Any victim mentality creates that. I know you feel self-righteous about it, and I know you want to argue with me about it self-righteously and say, and it gives you this feeling like you know something, and just telling somebody over and over or talking about it makes you feel like you're somehow powerful, but you're not. There's no power in being a victim. So drop it. If you want to be free of demons, that is. You can be afraid. I'm okay with having an emotion. That's not the same as being a victim. So these pre-existing guardians. All right. So this third dimensional universe, we created it. Also, other beings worked with us. Before we were human, we were those other beings of light. And all these different beings of light from different realms came together to create Earth. And one of the things they did is they created a safety mechanism, because Earth was designed to be a very dangerous place, so to speak. This is the most difficult incarnated experimentation that any soul can have. Coming to Earth is the most difficult place to come. So you're a human being, you're listening to me, it means that you are among the most powerful beings that ever existed, because you had the power and the guts to come to the third dimension. So this means that the third dimension, there is, if you want, on the periphery of it, there's a lot of negative, lower negative frequencies. Now, part of the third dimension is to allow the soul to experiment, if you will, with different frequencies. I just went off talking about victim mentality. Victim mentality is a specific, much lower frequency. And human beings experiment with that. Their souls experiment with it. So if you're somebody who loves being a victim and you love victim mentality beliefs, it means that your soul is experimenting to understand what is the effect of that. And so part of the idea is to come to the Earth and move through the experiments quickly, and people get stuck in them. So what can happen is that a soul may start going down a very negative path. Negative path is, the shortest way to get to it is self-devaluation. Self-hatred, self-devaluation. This is what gets people involved in lifestyles that are destructive. This is how somebody becomes a criminal, how somebody becomes violent, how somebody becomes a drug addict, how somebody becomes, a doormat. The evil people that are running this world, they went deep into that negativity. That was their experiment, and they're going to have to live the consequences of that. So there was a point where the powers that be said, we can't let souls go deeper than this. This is the lowest that souls should be allowed to go. And so they created these like AI beings. And these AI beings were themselves they came out of the negative frequency, and they set themselves up as guardians. Actually, they were set up as guardians. And the idea was that if a soul started going deeper and deeper into negativity, they would bump into one of these beings. Now, the nature of it is that that human being would then create an opening in the third dimension, and these demons are trying to get through because they feed off of human emotion. And so if you get too close, meaning that you're going too far down a negative path, hatred, anger, abuse, violence, self-hatred, manipulating others, believing you're a victim, being super codependent, drug addiction, when you start going down these paths and your frequency starts getting lower and lower, what ends up happening is that you get closer and closer to the frequency of these demons, and they want in. And so what ends up happening is, because people are escaping their own internal pain, when they go to these lower frequencies. They are seeking some type of energy that will take them out of it. This is why people do drugs. This is why people drink. They want an external influence to take them out of their feelings. And so what ends up happening is that's how the deal is made. So with your negativity, you end up creating a doorway to a lower dimensional frequency, and demons come through and they say, I want in. And they say, if you let me feed off of your negativity, I will distract you from your pain. I will distract you from what you're trying to avoid. And you unconsciously say yes. And then the demon will come in and will do whatever, create disease. On the extreme end, it'll create where you're actually being possessed and attacked and haunted by some negative being. But again, as somebody who has done exorcisms, I stopped doing exorcisms. The reason I stopped doing it was I saw that the majority of people were just going back to their old behavior after me telling them, now you've got to get your life together, you got to get off drugs, you got to start working with your pastor, you got to start getting counseling, you've got to get your life back on a good track. And they would say, yes, of course, and then they would go right back to whatever they were doing, and demon would come back and possess them again. And I'd say, you're on your own. And then I realized that what people who are possessed needed most was counseling. The only problem is that most people at that level don't want to listen and don't want to take direction. They don't want to do difficult things that are painful and frightening. So we'll get into that later. So that's what demons are. Demons are these emotional AI beings that were created to be like the guardians of the most negative frequencies. And the way they keep you out, the way that it's designed, is number one, it doesn't get rid of your experiment. Remember, your soul is here experimenting. And many souls will experiment with negative frequencies. So what happens is the demon will co-sign your negative frequencies for you. The demon will tell you if you're delusional, will expand your delusions. If you're self-devaluing, it will criticize you. It will attack you. It will do whatever it is that helps you stay in your denial. And then the idea is that becomes so intolerable that eventually you reach out and you ask for help. You reach out spiritually and you seek to take responsibility. And you're going to have to climb back. It might be a long climb back, but you're going to have to climb back up out. So I'm going to tell you a story that I've heard numerous times. So most of the time when there's a near-death experience where somebody physically dies and then comes back, almost all of them are pleasant, beautiful experiences where they see loved ones and angels and light beings and God and Jesus and Buddha, and they have a life review and they see how wonderful it is and they realize the importance of life, etc., and they come back with this beautiful message. Then there are those who have a very small percentage. I want to say it's going to be less than 5%. Small percentage of people actually have a hellish experience where they die and they go to hell. And they're surrounded by demons and and it's horrible. And they realize, this is one thing, they universally realize that what's happened is that the mindset that they lived in their whole life has now followed them. And they're living in it. They're living in that, if they were just absolute, atheists that didn't believe in anything spiritual and believed everything was evil and horrible, and they had victim mentality, then they would be surrounded by emptiness and evil and like being in a horrible prison. But in every case that I've heard of, every single one of them, when they decided that it was too painful for them, they did the impossible and they would reach out to whatever religion they were. They'd reach out to Buddha or Jesus or Shiva or whomever, and there would be instant. The relief would be instant. They would instantly be brought up to a higher frequency. And it was like a spiritual awakening for them. And so when they come back from that, they realize, oh my God, we do live in a spiritual universe. So that's kind of what demons are supposed to do. They're supposed to be so horrible that because you have walked away from your spirit, you have gone towards the negativity, that you've gone so deep into the negativity that you actually get what you're seeking for, but expanded beyond what you could have imagined. And you finally go, oh my God, this is horrible. And then you make your way back to your actual frequency. So that's the experiment. So this is originally what demons were designed for. So those are the pre-existing guardians. The external demons also include those summoned through ritual. So, people who do Satan worshiping, they do rituals to open doorways to bring demons into their third dimension. And they're not supposed to be in the third dimension. They're supposed to be guarding that, second dimension, third dimensional barrier. And so bringing them in under the idea that you're going to use their power, which is ridiculous. You're going to use their power to get something. Again, you're operating from the assumption that what you need is outside of you. So again, these beings will co-sign your craziness until you realize that that's not how it works. So there's also evil, hungry ghosts. So I won't talk too much about this because it goes off into another subject, but there are demonic entities that aren't the original guardian demons. They are AI, emotional, spiritual beings flying around Earth and haunting people and causing problems and doing the same kinds of things demons would do. And what they are is they're the unresolved psyche of humans that died without having a spiritual awakening. So anytime you see a ghost, some ghosts are harmless. By the way, don't ever go on ghost hunting trips. Don't ever do that. Ghosts, even if they're technically harmless, their energy is toxic. And just being around them is toxic. So, you wouldn't go somewhere where, there was radiation, toxic radiation. You wouldn't go there because, it'll infect you. Even if you walk in healthy, it can infect you. So don't do those things. The other thing is people think they're doing something spiritual when they do ghost hunting. It's about as spiritual as going down to Crack Addict Row and hanging out with the homeless crack addicts. It's as ridiculous and stupid as that. It's dangerous, it's toxic, you could get yourself hurt, but at the very least, all you're doing is just getting pulled into some nonsense. So don't waste your time talking to ghosts. They're not real, they're not people, they're not souls. They are the psyche. They are the created psyche of a human that didn't, fulfill their life purpose. And when they died, their psyche got squished out onto the world and it's flying around, pretending it's human, trying to accomplish some crazy thing. Eventually, those beings end up getting absorbed by the earth again, and that's a whole other subject. So the hungry ghosts, those are also external. But they started internal. And then there are what I'm calling narrative programs. So there are demonic entity AI spiritual programs that are created by the powers that be. I really want to go specifically into it, but I'm not going to. This is why, basically all you have to know is just don't buy into it. Don't live your life by social media. Don't live your life by, I basically never use this. I have to have it because without it, we can't function in this society. But, I have as little connection to the narrative functioning of this world as I possibly can while still being, in society. So, There are narrative programs that end up infecting you and have the same effect on you as demons do. So we might as well call them that, because that's pretty much how they function. Okay, so those are the external ones. The internal demons, these include introjects. Go look it up. Go right now, if you don't know what that word means, go and Google psychological introject. Psychological introjection. Introjection this is an internally created demon. So the way this works is, one of the ways anyway, when you're a little kid, if you've got an abusive parent, you get into a codependent, dysfunctional relationship where you're trying to avoid getting hurt, getting punished, getting attacked, getting abandoned. You're trying to do something to get your parents' love. So what ends up happening is you end up creating like a little mini program of your parent, and it ends up being taken up in your hard drive. And so what ends up happening is you're trying to protect yourself. So you know that doing what your parent wants, you believe will protect you. So this little voice in your head starts talking to you the way your parent talks to you. If your parent is abusive, that little voice will start calling you horrible names. It will start telling you, why are you screwing up? You shouldn't be doing that. You're so stupid. I'll give you something to cry about, whatever it is. Now I'm here to tell you, unless you do the work to shift yourself, that introject never goes away. It stays there, continuously talking to you. This is why even if people have had destructive childhoods, just because they leave that home and they grow up, 20, 30 years later, they end up deleting themselves or ruining their lives with drugs or alcohol or doing the same thing. It's because that little introject is still there, talking to them, telling them how evil they are, how stupid they are, how ridiculous they are, how whatever it is. So that's an introject, that's an internally created demon. There's self-devaluation. So you may just have your own self-devaluation. You may have just created a voice within you that's constantly devaluing you. Now we're trained to do this. I know you don't realize it, but the whole idea of depending on money is self-devaluing, and it creates a negative dependence on a demonic idea. The fact of the matter is that money is not a real thing. It's an idea. It doesn't exist. And it's one thing to understand that and to understand, okay, I live in a society where I have to give you this little plastic thing and I have to do this, and the ones and zeros go across, and that's how I get my food and my rent paid and all that. It's one way. And it's another one where it's like, I've got to have more money. Money is the most important thing. I've got to invest. I've got to invest in banks and get money. And now you're actually living in a falsely created negative fantasy, a world that doesn't exist. For instance, you live in a forest. Forest has actual things in it, actual plants, actual animals, actual water. There's fish in the water. These are actual resources that you can use to build houses, eat food, clothe yourself, get the nourishment that you need. That is actual resources. The idea that money gives you that is purely an intellectual idea. Don't believe me? Go take a stack of $1,000 and go out into the forest where there isn't any other people and throw the money on the ground and say, okay, build a house for me. That money's not going to do anything. Go to the Andaman Islands where you've got tribes people who don't interact with people, and if you're lucky enough, get one and try to hand them the $1,000. They're going to look at it and say, what am I supposed to do with this? Wipe my ass with it? They're going to throw it down. They're going to pick up their bow and arrow, and they're going to actually go get something that clothes them and feeds them. So this is a demonic entity. to believe that the support of society, banks, all of that, that actually means something. You're going to watch what happens. Remember, I told you this. Watch what's going to happen in the future. People who are really attached to the idea of wealth and money, they are going to fall the hardest and the fastest. All right, so self-devaluation. Resentments. Resentments can create an internal demon. So resentment is when you're angry at somebody more than 2 days after something happened. So, usually what happens, like if somebody gets attacked by a shark, you get stung by a bee, some animal attacks you and harms you, you're not resentful. You don't take it personally. It's just, that's what they do. You might be upset about it. You might be mad at yourself that you let it happen, but you're not going to waste any time getting upset at the shark. The shark doesn't have anything personally against you. The shark didn't attack you because of who you were or what you said, or wasn't trying to control you. It was just looking for food, and you just happened to be there. So being angry over something that somebody did or said more than 2 days, and I'm being generous, means that you're now in a resentment. A resentment then begins to grow and fester inside of you. It could take decades, but it will eventually turn into potentially life-threatening illness. And that is another way. A demon is an emotionally generated AI that feeds off of your negative feelings. And that is exactly what, the big C is, for example. That's exactly what it does. This is an internally generated demon. Despair programs. All right, despair is another one. Despair isn't just giving up. That's not what I mean. Intense despair, desperation. When we don't get love as little kids, that can create intense despair deep within somebody. So again, the big C word, there are lots of people, when you look at their lives, you'll find that there's deep, deep desperation, loneliness, pain, isolation, but they've stuffed it so far down they're not even consciously aware of it. These are usually the people who are oftentimes very angry at others. They may have a victim mentality, but more often than not, they are overly kind, they're overly helpful to other people, they turn themselves into doormats, and they're not even aware that, that they're upset. That's just the way that they accept they're carrying their cross. And underneath all of that is just horrific desperation. It's so horrific they can't even acknowledge it within themselves. It's become so unconscious that it's gone deep into the tissues. And the tissues are now an emotional AI being that is devouring the person from the inside out. So those are internally created demons. All right, let's keep going. The purpose of demons, as I said, demons were created to guard the lower frequency realms and keep human souls from indulging in negativity. I'm not going to repeat myself, but that's it. When you get too close to the negative, there's a demon that's going to try and wake you up. And if you don't wake up, that demon will devour your physical body. They won't devour your soul. Your soul is going to be fine, but your body may get devoured. Your energy may get devoured. And the whole point of that is that when the pain gets bad enough, you go, okay, I want a spiritual solution to this. I don't mean a religious solution, I mean a spiritual solution, where you are willing to take full responsibility for your divinity, for being here, for creating this life, for creating the circumstances that exist in your life. Get rid of the victim mentality, and that you are now ready to take the actions to get your power back. That's the whole point of demons, because this is an experiment. This earth life is an experiment. All right, demons are NPC AI emotional programs designed to feed off of human misery. The average cure for demon attacks is self-awareness and taking full responsibility. So I've said all those things already. Let's keep going. So banishing demons. All right, so now you want to know, what do I do to protect myself? What do I do to get rid of them? So I made a video a while back. Please go, if you're new to the channel, go and watch my previous videos, the ones I've made over the past 2 or 3 months. And in one, I talk about the 3 energy centers of the body. And each one of these energy centers, among other things, has an effect on either protecting you from demons or destroying them. Your lower center, which is your navel center. Now you have to start there. Please don't email me and ask me about the third eye. Don't waste your time on the third eye if you haven't got your lower and middle center up to par. Okay, we got to start from the beginning and go up. So the lower center is your navel center. That's actually your unconscious mind. When that is activated and empowered, and by the way, according to the light beings, we have entered phase 1 of the 5D shift, and phase 1 is activating the navel center, the lower consciousness of the human body. I could go on for hours about what that is. You'll have to watch the other videos. But when that lower center is fully activated, one of the end results is that you have the ability to avoid accidents, traumas, illness, bad luck, catastrophes. So again, that is associated with that, because remember, the whole point of demons is that they're guarding that second dimension, third dimensional barrier. And when you start going too far down a negative path, mentally, psychologically, spiritually, you bump into them. And the more interaction that you have with them, they're going to make it worse on you. And the worse they make it is designed to get you to decide that you're going to get it together and you're going to go the other direction. So they are associated with calamity, with bad luck, with disasters, all of that. So when your lower center, your navel center, is fully awakened, activated, and is now operating on this new 5D frequency that is being brought into phase 1 of the 5D shift, when that happens, you will be bulletproof against bad luck, calamity, physical disease, and of course, that all the negative entities associated with that you will be able to avoid and prevent any of that from happening. The second level, the heart level, by the way, you don't have to wait for different phases to open these up. I have exercises and practices which will open these up to the highest frequencies that we can experience. We'll talk about that more later. But when you open up the heart, what's called the heart mind, that has the ability to actually drive away demons. So when this is open, that will make demons run. The lower center, when you open that, that'll like give you a protection. They come at you, they won't be able to get to you. So negativity won't be able to reach you. It'll just like, but when you open up this, the energy goes out and they go running. They will run for the hills. They will run away from you. When you open up this one, the third eye, then you have the power to destroy demons. You can actually destroy those AI emotional programs. And this is a good thing, because as we shift into the new 5D, we're not going to need those demonic guardians anymore. We're not going to need them because there won't be a danger of us going to that level of a low frequency. We're going to be shifting up to the point where we're going to have other new wonderful adventures, and that negativity that we've been experiencing on this planet, that's not going to be part of the Earth experiment anymore. All right, so banishing demons. Okay, seeking a teacher. This is very important. You can't do this thing alone, especially if you've been attacked by demons, if you've been living in that negativity, if you've been living in a victim mentality, if you've been addicted to that. If you've been living in it, you've been addicted to it. It's an addiction. So you can't get yourself out of that on your own. You know, a broken mind cannot fix a broken mind. So when people talk about, I'm just going to go within and I'm going to do, I'm going to do what they call, I'm going to do some shadow work and I'm really going to look at myself. What are you doing? You're a crazy person. So what you're going to go take, how are you going to, you can't fix yourself. That's like a doctor doing heart surgery on themselves. They can't. It's not possible. They might be a brilliant surgeon, but they're going to have to go under and let somebody else cut them open and do it. You are going to have to work with a teacher. Now, the main job of a teacher, whether it's a guru, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a mentor, the main job of the teacher is to be the mirror for you, to show you the things about yourself you don't want to see. What psychologists call your resistance. Their job is to point out your resistance and not buy into it. And to give you paths and tasks and knowledge that you may not want to hear. That you may think is, a lot of the problems with students is, especially if they're really deep into this, they will feel criticized. And there are some teachers like me. I have to take a hard path, and I'm brutally honest with them because some people, they have, such self-defense armor that you have to smash through it to get their attention. Other people are different. Some people need a softer touch. So you got to find the teacher that's going to best help you. But their job is still the same, no matter what their tactic is. Their job is to confront your resistance to your own growth, tell you what you don't want to hear, and tell you what you can't see about yourself. So get over yourself if you think you're going to be your own teacher. It's not going to happen. It won't work. What's next? Follow instructions. I've had students who stuck with me for years. Who, in some cases there were students who talked about me, like I was a god. But they didn't follow instructions. They would say, I'm gonna follow you forever, I'm gonna be with you forever, you're the most important person in my life, you saved my life, they'll do this, but when I give them instructions, they won't follow them. They'll follow 75-80% of it. They won't tell me the truth about certain things. They tell them, you got to stop smoking weed. They'll keep smoking weed on the side, whatever it is. So when you get a teacher that you trust, that has something that you want, and you look at them and you say, I want what they have. When you find that teacher, listen to what they say. Take their direction. A teacher is going to tell you what you need to hear. They're not going to tell you more than what you need to hear. And that one thing that you choose not to do might be the thing that'll save your life. So we don't have any more time for this nonsense. We're coming to the end of this Earth experiment. You think things are bad now? For those that aren't shifting, it's going to get much worse. Easy way out, find a teacher you trust, follow their example, ask for their help, and follow their directions. Number 3, work 12 steps to 5D. So if you're not already in a 12-step program, which I recommend, 90% of you listening to me qualify for some 12-step program out there, and you'd all benefit by doing the steps. But if you're not, I've got stuff on my channel, so go to the playlist that says 12 steps to 5D and do them. Eradicate intoxicants. So it's time to get rid of that crutch. Alcohol, THC, junk food, I don't know. Just get rid of the things you know that are unhealthy, especially the intoxicants, the stuff that you do to get high, to get out of yourself. Stop. I recommend people stop doing, what are they calling those things now? Plant teachers. Stop doing hallucinogens. Stop doing what's the one? I forget. Your brain releases. Anyway, people smoke it. Stop doing all that stuff. It's not spiritual. It doesn't help you. I could go into it. I know it doesn't mean that you haven't had spiritual experiences when you've done it. You've done mushrooms. You've done whatever. And you had some spiritual experiences, and maybe they helped you, and maybe they were life-changing. The whole idea of that is you do it once and you move on. The idea of keep doing them over and over again, it does horrific damage to you physically, to your organs, to your hormones, but it also does horrific damage to your psyche. And it does not give you what this shift is supposed to do, which is to make you self-reliant. It takes that away. You're reliant on things outside of you. So do that. If you're having trouble with that, that's, again, 12-step programs can help with that. Physical movement, going to the gym, lifting weights, getting out, moving your body. That does all kinds of really good things psychologically. It releases a lot of positive survival chemicals in the body, which affects your brain. I mean, I go to the gym, and when I come back from the gym, I feel better. When I do my Qigong practice or the practices I'm going to share, when I do that, I always feel better afterwards. So move. Get some physical movement in. Get a physically healthy body. Qigong mantra meditation. Okay, that should be obvious. I'm not the only game in town for that. I think I'm the best place for it, but that's just my opinion. But Qigong is good because it gets your life force moving, which is helpful for you psychologically, physically, spiritually. Mantra is really important because mantra is about frequency. It's good to get a mantra that you can get from a Vedic astrologer who understands mantra based on your astrological setup. Now, I do that, and you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. Instead of Maushan, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com, and you can get a reading from me, and I can give you a mantra, and that frequency will shift you and help you use that frequency to get you out of that negative mindset. And mantras, there are certain mantras that destroy demons. The ones that we do every time that we do the live guided interdimensional meditations that we're doing every Wednesday and Saturday. There's a couple of mantras that I do with you guys every time. Those mantras are demon killers. They will destroy evil if you chant them. Heart, mind, energy kills demons. All right, so if you've been on my channel, you know what I'm talking about. The Shi, the electromagnetic energy that surrounds the heart, that energy has not been released to the world publicly until now. As far as I know, I'm the only person who is publicly, worldwide, sharing these teachings about this energy. And it is an energy that destroys demons. It will destroy it. And there are very specific, very simple movements and postures that you can do which will awaken that energy. That, when it gets released in your body, will begin killing the demons on all levels. So if you want to learn more about that, I teach all kinds of stuff. Both of these links take you, the shop here at thunderwizard.com takes you to all kinds of energies that do that. This maushan.thunderwizard.com is completely devoted to fighting and destroying demons. The interdimensional meditation that we do that, I talked to you about it already, we do it twice a week. That will destroy negativity, that will destroy demons internally and externally. Just do it. Saying yes to light beings destroys internal demons. So when you do interdimensional meditation with me, at some point, almost every single meditation, there will be a time when I say, okay, a light being is coming to you. You now go off and talk to them and see what they have to tell you. And whatever that being tells you, accept it. That being will tell you something very often about yourself, about who you are at a higher dimensional level. Your internal third dimensional self-protection will either devalue what was said or try to deny it. Like you'll tell yourself, I think I'm imagining this. Or it'll just be so shocking to you that you won't want to accept it. So the way that working with light beings is, it's like, this is kind of how genies work. You rub the lamp and the genie comes out. The genie says, give me your 3 wishes. Well, imagine if you told the genie, leave me alone. I don't want your help. That's what happens when you don't listen to a light being. Now, the light being may see you. Your light being friends can see you in different higher dimensions. They can see you when you're happy, when you're powerful, when you're divine. And they will look at that and they will say, you are. And whatever they say, they're seeing you in a higher dimension. Now, if you deny that, you will stay in this lower dimensional frequency. But if you say yes, like if they say, you're the most beautiful soul that ever existed, they talk like that. If you say, yes, I'm the most beautiful soul that ever existed, you're now accepting that probable reality that exists, and you will begin shifting up. So as I say to people, I always say yes to them. Now, sometimes they come to me and say things like, would you like to be responsible for all human souls shifting up to the next dimension? And when they talk to you like that, that's like a huge responsibility. My third dimensional self is like, are you kidding? I don't want that. That's crazy. I don't even know what that means. I say yes. I say, are you ready to become the ruler of this galaxy? Yes. I say yes to whatever they tell me. And I do that consciously, not because I understand it or because I feel worthy of it, but because I know that that energy, if I say yes to it, will shift me up to another frequency and I'll get to experience a better world. So say yes to them. If you haven't done the meditations, do the meditation, you'll know what I'm talking about. By the way, you can do the live guided interdimensional meditations right now. Just go to the live section on my channel. There's hundreds of them. Just pick any one of them, put your headphones on, and just let the meditation take you. Okay, Mao Shan practices are the most powerful defense against negativity. So I want to go into that a little bit. So let's start with here. So scroll down to where it says activate higher naval power frequency. You see that? And it says Mao Shan, summoning the immortals. That is an entry-level practice that is extremely powerful. So I want you to hear what I'm saying. I am saying that these energies, these Mao Shan energies, are the single most powerful energy practices available to human beings. And as I said, I'm the only one that I know of that's publicly teaching it. And these energies will destroy evil. So I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to feel the energy. So the way that you do that is you just want to start out and feel this energy. You go to thunderwizard.com here. You click on shop. When you click on the shop, scroll to the bottom of this page. You'll scroll around. You'll find it, Mao Shan Summoning the Immortals. Do that meditation. If you feel the energy, you know that I'm telling the truth. And then you can keep working that energy for as long as you want. But when you're ready for more, there's more. So you see here next to it, Celestial Qigong, the foundation of Maoshan energy work. That is a very simple practice that will activate this energy in all kinds of ways, and it will open up your meridians to this higher dimensional frequency that doesn't exist on this plane yet, but it will. Now, you don't have to do all of them. You can do either one or both. Just get your hands on one of these if you're starting out. Another way is to go to thunderwizard.com, click on membership, and you'll see Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. So I teach that there. I teach Kundalini Yoga, which awakens the Kundalini. I teach Qigong, which puts Qigong into the meridians. And I teach the Maoshan Shi Gong energy, the lightning Qigong. That is a higher dimensional frequency. All three of those energies opening up in your body, now you're starting to walk the planet like a human being is supposed to, like a higher dimensional being. But if you want to go further, I talked about how the navel center actually gives you the power to protect yourself from calamity, bad luck, disease, disaster. So we have practices for that. And so the way that we do that is we do the Xuan Wu Qigong. Everybody should be doing that. Xuan Wu Qigong. This the Dark Warrior of the North, Tortoise and Snake, Maoshan Martial Qigong form. Go to thunderwizard.com, click on shop, or go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com if you want to save some money on it. Get that practice. Everybody listening to me should be doing that practice. And specifically that one because it empowers the navel and it gives you the power of mastery over yin and yang in the external world, gives you the power to create a new reality, to see the new reality for yourself, and then more importantly, to take action on it. That's the hardest part. So that set will help you do that. That's called the Dark Warrior of the North, also known as Xuan Wu. And if you want to go further than that, opening up the navel, then you can do what's called the first set or the Hands of Infinity. That can be found here at maoshan.thunderwizard.com only. That will give you the power to rule the third dimensional universe. I can't even begin to tell you the power that's involved there. We also have the 5 elements. So I recommend that people do the 5 element spirit fighting sets before the Hands of Infinity. So that can be found here at thunderwizard.com. Click on shop. You see that, already saw it here. See the wood, the metal, the fire, the water. See those? There's also earth. But I recommend that you go here to maoshan.thunderwizard.com and you can get all of them at a cheaper price. And whatever you're doing, that is important because we have to work through the 5 elements. If you want to destroy demons, you've got to get your emotions flowing. You know, for instance, the demon of resentment is when you're stuck in anger. The demon of sadness will get stuck in the lungs. Desperation. The demon of confusion, that's the earth element. The demon of fear, that's the water element. So by working through the elements, you actually expel those demons out of you, which also is associated with the 5 organs, and there's a whole science behind all of that. So those are the things I recommend people do, and yeah, you can find all of those at these either thunderwizard.com shop and or maoshan.thunderwizard.com. And soon, I've already videotaped me doing the second set, or the butterfly hands, the full complete set. It's very complicated. I'm debating whether or not I should release it because it's very complicated and it's not something that can be easily learned through video. We're going to have to start doing live seminars and doing energy transmissions and teaching group classes and stuff. We're going to have to start doing that. I am going to be traveling across the country, so maybe, in different parts of the country we can organize that. But that's coming. And then this coming, I've videotaped that as well. But I'm not ready to release that yet. But I'll keep you posted. But if you're wanting to do these two, the one that drives away demons and the one that destroys demons, if you want to learn those two practices, you first got to do all the others. You've got to do the 5-element spirit fighting, the Xuan Wu, and the Hands of Infinity. That's a prerequisite. If you don't have that, you won't be ready for these. Trust me. Trust me, you won't be ready. Okay, I think that's it for now, my friends. We do the live guided meditations twice a week here on this channel, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, at least for now. They're free, and they're also archived in the live section. Go check them out. If you have any questions about any of this, put it in the comments. I read all the comments and I respond to the ones that I like, that are respectful. And that's it. My friends, I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves, and I will see you all very, very soon.